So somebody was in my DM, right? And they was asking me, am I beefing with Jay Stalin? You get what I'm saying? Check game, man. Am I beefing with Jay Stalin? Nah, I ain't beefing with Jay Stalin. You feel what I'm saying? Let's say 2 years ago, I get a DM from Jay Stalin. I'm like, what's this? He like, hey, he like called me. You know what I'm saying? It's some, you missing out on some money. And I had to click on the profile, like, man, let me see what is this, man. And I'm like, oh, this is an official page for sure. So I'm like, I don't know if I called him on the first time or I DM'd him back, like, what's up? And then he you know, something on the floor for you. So I tap in with bro. I'm like, what's happening? He like, boy, what's up with it? Whoop, 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 da, da, da. He like, bro, you missing out on some money, man. I know somebody, bro, you feel me? And they been looking at some royalties, you know, feel me? And they came across something, you know what I'm saying? And you missing something. It's like, but I'm gonna tap you in with him. Boom, boom, bam. I'm like, what you know what I'm saying? Like, what you need, you know what I'm saying? What you want out of it? You're like, nothing, bro. You dig what I'm saying? You feel me? You been doing your thing, bro. I see you. I salute you. You feel me? It's like, I'm just, you know, letting you know, you know what I'm saying? There's something on the floor for you. I'm like, all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, boom, he shoot me dude number. So I tap in with the boy, white boy. He like, hey, what the whoop whoop? We talking, chopping it up, da da da. He's like, yeah, you missing out on some money and whoop the whoop wham. So I lined him in with my manager. I think I lined him in with my manager from the gate. And then he tapped in with me on FaceTime, like a 3-way FaceTime with the white boy, my manager at the time, and me. So it's just us three on the phone. Stalin ain't on the phone, though. He just connected the dots. So he like, yeah, you got some money on the, you know, well, I just got all your bank information. I just want to confirm everything and boo, wham, man. I'm like, all right, it's good. Bruh, I got a deposit or a transfer or a wire, something hit my account for like 30,000 for sure. If it wasn't 30, it was 40. It wasn't less than 25 for sure. But I'm gonna say it was 30,000 or something. I don't remember. You feel me? So many wires come through this mug, you know. But yeah, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, this nigga Stalin. This nigga Stalin just, you feel what I'm saying, like connect the dots and got in a bag, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is why they rock with dudes, you dig what I'm saying? He a genuine person. He didn't ask for nothing, bro. He could have said, bro, just shoot me 5 bands, bro. You dig what I'm saying? And whoop 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 and da da. He could have said anything. That man didn't want to dime, bro. Didn't want to dime. So, like, I salute that dude, you dig what I'm saying? Shout out Stalin, Jay Stalin, you dig? Like, I salute that dude, you feel me? Like, on the real, like, he kept it 100, didn't ask for nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we never talked again.
When you look back at certain moments in hip-hop, especially in regional scenes like Northern California, you start to realize that not every conflict is as deep as it once seemed. Some situations feel bigger in the moment, louder, more personal, more permanent. But with time, perspective changes. And one of the best examples of that is the situation involving Lavish D and members connected to the Livewire movement, particularly Jay Stalin. Now, at one point, it looked like there was tension across the board. You had Lavish D going back and forth with people affiliated with Livewire, diss records, public statements, and the kind of energy that makes it seem like two sides are completely divided. But when you really break it down, it wasn't as simple as him versus everybody. In reality, Lavish D himself has made it clear that when it came to Jay Stalin specifically, there was never really a personal issue to begin with. That's important, because a lot of times, people on the outside group everything together. They see one conflict and assume it applies to everyone connected. But behind the scenes, it's more layered than that. Lavish D was having issues with individuals within that circle, not necessarily every single person in it. And that distinction matters, because years later, when things cooled down, that understanding made it easier to revisit those relationships from a different place. And one of the biggest turning points, it wasn't music, it wasn't a diss record, it was business. At some point, Jay Stalin was actually able to help Lavish D tap into royalty money that he didn't even realize was available to him. Think about that for a second. In an industry where people are constantly talking about ownership, publishing, and getting what you deserve, that kind of help goes a long way. That's not small. That's not surface level. That's something that can genuinely change how you view a person. Because growth. Because now, instead of looking at them through the lens of past tension, you're seeing someone who contributed to your growth, who helped you move forward. And that's where maturity starts to come into play. Because when you're younger, everything feels bigger than it actually is. Disrespect feels like it has to be answered immediately. Differences feel like they have to turn into division. And pride can make small situations turn into long-term problems. But as you grow, as you experience more, as you go through real-life situations that actually test you, you start to reevaluate what really matters. You start to realize that not every disagreement needs to last forever. Not every issue needs to define a relationship. And in some cases, you start to see that certain problems weren't even that serious to begin with. That's exactly what happened here. Because when Lavish D and J Stalin were able to reconnect and actually talk things through, it became clear that there was never a real foundation for a personal beef between them. It was more about association, more about who was connected to who, and what was happening around them at the time, not necessarily between them directly. And that brings up another key point. If no real damage was done, if no lines were crossed that can't be uncrossed, then it becomes a lot easier to move forward. And that's something Lavish D touched on in his own way. The idea that if no blood is drawn, if nothing irreversible happens, then there's always room to leave the past where it is. Because at that point, what are you really holding on to? A moment, a misunderstanding, a phase in life that doesn't even reflect who you are anymore. That's where growth comes in. That's where maturity separates people. Because growth allows you to step outside of your past mindset and look at things from a wider perspective. You start to ask yourself, was it really worth it? Was it really that deep? Or was it just the environment, the timing, and the energy you were around at that point in your life? And more often than not, the answer becomes clear. It wasn't that deep. And once you reach that realization, you open the door to something different. Sometimes that means simply letting go and moving on. But other times, it can lead to something you wouldn't expect. Respect, understanding, even friendship. Because when two people can acknowledge the past, recognize that it wasn't as serious as it once felt, and choose to move forward anyway, that says a lot about where they are in life, and that's the power of maturity. It allows you to rewrite narratives. It allows you to rebuild connections, and it allows you to turn what could have been a long-term division into something positive. Now, that doesn't mean every situation can be fixed. Let's be real about that. Some things go too far. Some lines get crossed that can't be undone. But in situations like this, where it never reached that level, where it was more noise than substance, there's always an opportunity to handle things differently later on. And that's exactly what happened. Instead of holding on to old energy, they found common ground. Instead of continuing a narrative that didn't really apply, they cleared it up, and instead of letting association dictate their relationship, they defined it for themselves. That's growth. That's evolution. And honestly, that's something a lot of people can learn from. Because not every disagreement needs to turn into a lifelong issue. Not every situation needs to be carried forward. Sometimes, the strongest move you can make is simply letting it go, learning from it, and moving forward with a different mindset. At the end of the day, situations like this remind us that time changes perspective. What once felt like a major issue can later reveal itself to be something minor. And when no real damage is done, when nothing irreversible happens, there's always a chance to revisit, reflect, and reset. Because growth isn't just about moving forward. It's about being able to look back and realize that you don't have to stay in the same place mentally. And sometimes, the people you once had tension with end up being part of your progress.